This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit about the bye week, a little bit about some injury updates about health of some of the players that we've been missing for the past couple weeks, like David Andrews, Devontae Parker, etc. So then we're going to be previewing the Jets, giving our over-under picks like we usually do. Patriots obviously had their bye week this week, so got a little time off. Guys got some rest, got to recover, got to relax. Hopefully they bounce back a little better after the bye week than last season because that was brutal last year. But I'm here with my co-host, Chase Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
It's good. It's good to be back, talk some Patriots football. And, this is the stretch that we all had circled on our calendars, primetime football games. You want to be playing meaningful football coming up in November, December. And surely New England, as they're in the playoff picture right now, they're going to have a chance to play those meaningful games. And it starts right off the rip playing an interconference team right here in the division, in the Jets, who is 6-3, and you just got the better of at their home field, and you know that they're going to want revenge and they're going to want to play better. So this is going to be a huge game. And like you said, if New England starts out slow out the bye week like they did last year, this season might wrap up sooner rather than later, just how strong the AFC is in general, especially the AFC East. And we still have to play Buffalo twice, Miami again, and some of those other teams. I mean, Minnesota, who's rolling, just beat Buffalo. We got some tough games coming up, and it starts with this one right here.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a big game as far as the Jets are going to want their revenge. They were already mad about last year. They thought we ran up the score on them. Zach Wilson got asked about it after we beat them last couple weeks ago, and he said, we'll see him again in 2 weeks. So they're going to be ready for it. He's not going to play the same way as he did a couple weeks ago, I would assume. They're going to have a different game plan. They just beat the Bills before their bye week. They had a bye week as well. So we're both coming off a bye. They have extra time to prepare for us. We have extra time to prepare for them. So we'll see which team is more fresh and more ready and more prepared and ready and engaged to go off the bye week. I know the Patriots in the past have had trouble off bye weeks and they start a little slow and a little sluggish, even when Brady was here. So that's something that we've always kind of had to keep an eye on. And you would think that the bye week would give Belichick an extra week and this team would be crazy good off the bye week, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. And we'll see how it goes this weekend.
Yeah, it's crazy because as of late, the Patriots have been bad coming off of bye weeks, but before then they were pretty dominant. And it's just been, I mean, maybe it's a Tom Brady thing now that he's gone, or maybe, obviously our roster isn't as good as it has been, but you would think that coming off a bye week, you'd be well rested. You'd have extra time to prepare. You'd have an opportunity to, feel like you're still in the race. They were definitely in the thick of the race last year for the playoff, for the number one seed last year. And I don't know where their motivation went, where their determination went, if it was preparation. I don't know what it was last year, but after the bye week, it looked like a totally different team. And hopefully this year it looks like a totally different team, but for the better, because I don't think New England has played that good up to this point as they did last year when they were going into their bye week. So hopefully this is the bye week that New England needed. You get guys healthy. You can fix some things on offense and defense that you need. You get guys that can go in and watch extended film, not only on opponents, but on themselves. I know that I read something that Mac Jones did a huge deep dive on his play. Maybe that's what he needed. Maybe, he needs just some one-on-one time with himself. Maybe a coach. I don't know what coach it would be that I would trust that much, but someone in there that can, correct this stuff. And when you're in the thick of things and you have to travel on a Friday and then you do a walkthrough on Saturday, you don't get that much time to focus on yourself. You have to focus on the other team and you have to prepare for them. So maybe this is what this team needed. Hopefully it is. Hopefully they start clicking and, the defense keeps playing well like we've seen them, and the offense just takes that next step forward and really reaches that level that we expected them to reach coming into this season.
I was hoping that during the bye week, McDaniels would get fired and come back and have some time to prepare this offense and get it ready to go.
Did you see the report saying that the Raiders are too cash poor that they can't afford to fire McDaniels, so he'll be there at least the next 2 years?
Oh, I didn't see that one. I saw that his job was safe through next season or whatever. I didn't.
Yeah. So what I was reading, obviously they said that, but then what came out, like, I don't even know, it might have just been a couple hours ago, is that the Raiders don't have enough money to fire him because they'd have to pay him his contract. and then hire another coach. And they just did that with John Gruden, and they can't do that. I mean, you think of the Raiders as one of the richest franchises, and now they fired two, or they not fired, but John Gruden has a massive contract that I can guarantee they're still paying him for, and they have that huge stadium that they are still paying off. So yeah, that they don't even have the money to fire him. So that won't happen. That won't happen.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Sadly.
Yeah, that would have been nice, but maybe we can have our Bill O'Brien dreams, even though he's not doing as good with Alabama this year, but next offseason. So anyways, kind of diving into this game a little bit. The Jets, they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Like we said, they just beat the Bills a couple weeks ago. I know the Bills haven't been there themselves necessarily. That game was very fun to watch, the Bills Vikings, and see the Bills fall apart there at the end. That was quite enjoyable. I can't lie about that. I actually turned off the game after Buffalo stopped them on 4th and goal, and then I saw a tweet pop up of like, oh my god, what just happened? And I was like, what? So I turned it back on, and I saw that it was a touchdown for Minnesota. I was like, no way. And then I knew they were going to score and get a field goal because it's Buffalo, you know what I mean? So they did, even though the Gabe Davis thing was a drop. But then Josh Allen pick in overtime to seal the game. So that was awesome. That was a heck of a game though. Two of the top tier catches from two of the top tier NFL wide receivers that we got right now. So that was a fun one. But the Jets have a great defense. They're playing good. They just came off one of their best games. If Zach Wilson can not give us the ball 4 times, it's going to be a lot tougher of a game. So we're going to have to make adjustments offensively. We can't be as bad as we were. We're going to have to scheme up some things against their defense, but they're extremely talented. They have a ton of really good players on that side of the football, and they have a ton of talent on offense as well. As far as injuries go, they're one of their defensive tackles, Sheldon Rankins, did not participate with an elbow injury. Corey Davis did not participate with a knee injury. He's been out for a while. So, and then one of their guards, Nate Herbig, maybe, he did not participate with a shin injury. And Dwayne Brown, offensive tackle, who's limited with a shoulder injury. So that's kind of where they're at on the injury front. But this is going to be a lot tougher game than it was last time. I don't think they're going to let Zach hand the Patriots the game like they did last couple weeks ago. So it'll be a fun one.
And really, the first 3 times we've played Zach Wilson, he's almost been in a Patriots uniform. He's had the helmet on, but a Jets jersey, and then maybe even the pants. He's had Patriots colors on. He has been it's pretty much 12 on 10 football. Zach Wilson has been a Patriot for those times. And if he comes in, he doesn't lose the game for him. I'm very scared of this game because I think the Jets do a lot of good things on offense. Garrett Wilson is breaking out. They have a good running game. They're a little banged up on the offensive line, but they have a good running game. They traded for, Michael Carter was great before he got hurt, and that's a tragic injury for my fantasy team, but for the Jets too. But they go out and they trade for James Robinson, and we all know what James Robinson can do. He's done it for 2 years in Jacksonville, an undrafted guy. He has all the talent in the world. Michael Carter's a great third down back out of the backfield. So this offense poses a lot of threats for a good Patriots defense and a good secondary. I think it's a good challenge for New England. The key factor is Zach Wilson going to do what Zach Wilson has done, for the Jets the last 3 times they played the Patriots? And that's been almost just serving the football up to us on golden platters. And credit to the Patriots defense for those, because they have made him uncomfortable. They've made him throw the ball in places that he doesn't want to throw it quicker than he wants to, and forcing him to get off of his first read. And so credit to the Patriots. So that's going to be a big key for the Patriots defense too, is to continue to rattle Zach Wilson, because I know that he said we play him in 2 weeks, right? He's confident, but in the back of your head, that you've thrown 9 interceptions against this team the last 3 times you've played him. He knows that in the back of his head. So if he can get comfortable in the pocket, I think it's scary for New England. But if New England continues to do what they've done to him the last 3 times we played him, then I'm very confident that New England can just win this game again and move to 6-4 in the AFC East and be right up in there as a division leader going into the next week.
Yeah, and the Patriots, they got to continue to apply pressure and force them into those throws, which they did a good job last time. They actually only had 2 sacks against the Jets last time they played them. Judon didn't have any at all. So if he can keep rolling and stay fresh out of the bye, he can't have an end of season like he did last year, where he just completely fell off. And I think the Patriots have done a great job managing his snaps to where he hopefully can be at the same elite level all the way through. He just got updated to a 99 in Madden. He posted that on Twitter today. So well-deserved. He's been great this year. But yeah, you got to continue to put pressure on him. When he has pressure on him, he makes some extremely dumb throws. Like the one to Devin McCourty on the sideline where you could just throw the ball away, but he leaves it just inside the sideline where McCourty can get to it and grab it. So it's tough. I hope he continues to do that. I hope we continue to pressure him and he makes these dumb throws, but I have a hard time believing that they're going to let him continue to do these things. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's done it the past 3 times, and I'm sure they didn't want him to do it. So maybe he'll continue the trend and continue to do that in general. Oh, maybe Brandon says, I thought Judon edited that himself. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Whatever he did, he deserves it. So
he does. But okay. So yeah,
he's playing. I mean, Judon's playing like the defensive player of the year. And if he continues up his production, he might lead the league in sacks at the end of the year. He's leading them right now, and he might be in contention for a defensive player of the year because he has been that impactful on a really good defense when teams thought or people thought that this defense wasn't going to be good. He's the standout MVP of this team, defensive player of the year. He is carrying this team. I mean, if Judon continues with what he's doing throughout what he did through the first half, throughout the second half, even if he doesn't even have a great second half like he did the first half, because that's going to be hard to replicate. But if he just stays the course and stays on pace and does what he does best, he's probably going to end with close to 20 sacks on the year. And I would think that that's more than enough to win or to be one of the top 3 at least in sacks. And so that'll be interesting to see that, because I do think that was a big storyline for New England last year, is when they stopped playing well after the bye, you saw Matt Judon kind of stop playing well too. And that was a huge disappointment for a team that generally does not have a lot of pass rushers. And you go out and sign this guy for big money. And now the Patriots are 3rd in the league with 32 sacks on the year, only behind Dallas and Tampa Bay. So you got a lot of production coming from that front 7 and getting sacks. You got to continue to do that.
Judon is only an 88 overall
in Madden.
That's absurd.
Wow
is right. That is interesting. So he must have edited it. I thought it was weird when I looked at it and he was above Aaron Donald and everybody else. That would have meant he really got boosted to where he was overall the best player in Madden. So he must have messed with that. That's true.
Yeah.
Judon defensive player of the year. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, Judon defensive player of the year. Carlos asks, is Judon on pace to break the sack record? Andre Tippett had 18.5 in 94, and then 16.5 in 95, and then Judon's the next highest with Chandler Jones at 12.5. So I would think that if he keeps playing with what he's doing right now, what is he at? 11.5? Is that what he's officially at this year?
12.5.
Is it 12?
Is it 11.5?
I think it's 12 or 11.5, but I mean, I don't see how he doesn't continue on this 1 sack a game, if not maybe 2. He doesn't get one game and gets 2. So I think that it's very likely that he breaks Tippett's record from 11.5, gets Tippett's record and gets 18.5. If not, he could get 19, he could get 20. I think that 20 would be a great year for him. Obviously, if he keeps up what he did in the first half, 20 would be great. But if he's producing 18.5, 19 sacks again, or this year, that's huge for this Patriots defense. And I think that's very doable.
Yeah, I mean, he has had 2 games with 0 sacks. One of them was against the Browns, and he followed that up by 2.5 sacks against the Bears. And then the next one was against the Jets. He followed that up with 3 sacks against the Colts. So, yeah, Judon's been balling out. I know we play some really good teams and some quarterbacks that are going to be harder to take down, like Kyler Murray, Josh Allen. Tua gets the ball out so quickly that he's probably going to be hard to take down as well. So it's not going to be easy for him to break the record, but if he continues doing what he's doing and have the season he's having and continues this pace, he is on pace to have a really, really awesome year. So I hope he continues it up, because that's going to be a key to this team wanting to make the playoffs is Judon keeping up his pace and making an impact in the game.
Yeah. Continuing on kind of the offensive line sack production, right here, this comment, will the offensive line show up with Andrews back? I think that's a huge question to ask, because you're looking at the Jets and they're not great at getting to the passer. They're not horrible either. They're about middle of the pack. They have 26 sacks on the year. But when you look at what the Patriots offensive line was without David Andrews, how Cole Strange played, how these other guys played, New England was allowing 3.5 sacks per game without David Andrews. And I guarantee you there's a ton more pressures. I can pull the pressure stat too. But we thought Mac Jones didn't have much time with David Andrews, and then it got worse and worse and worse without David Andrews. So I hope that this offensive line, now that they have a bye week, everyone's healthy, they get some continuity, they figure out what they want to roll out on Sunday and throughout the rest of the year. Hopefully there's no more injuries, and they can establish some chemistry. We didn't see New England's offensive line become super dominant until week 9 last year when Trent Brown got back. So maybe this is the time to take off now. We sure as heck need it to, because if this offense wants to play better and reach the standards that a lot of Patriots fans had before the season, that offensive line is going to be key number one, and then Mac Jones is going to be key number 2. But if you're not giving Mac Jones time to even improve or throw the ball down the field, then it's not going to look good for Mac Jones. He's going to continue to struggle like he has.
And I saw a report today, I don't know if you saw this, that Isaiah Wynn was back at left tackle for practice today. I don't know if that's as backup left tackle. I don't know what their plan is, but that was kind of interesting. Bill talked about wanting Onwenu to stay at right guard. They said that's where they'd like to have him continue to play. So I think that's good. Keep him at that spot where he's been great. And Yodney has to play well. And David Andrews being back is going to be huge. It really is. It's so obvious how much he helped Cole Strange out, and Cole Strange was almost unplayable without David Andrews. It's been that bad. So that stinks to see, as far as you used a first round pick on a guy who needs his center to make up for his slack. That's really unfortunate. We thought we kind of had something good in Cole Strange, and I guess we'll see. But David Andrews back should definitely help cheer up this offensive line and give Mac Jones a chance at least to have a good game, especially with a good Jets secondary and good Jets defense in general. It's not going to be easy. So having everybody back would be great. Andrews being back is going to be definitely a big boost to this offensive line for sure.
Yeah, he's the emotional leader of, I don't want to say the whole offense, but he is the most tenured veteran on this team. He might be the whole leader of the offense. He takes so much pressure off the other offensive linemen, off of Mac Jones, off of the offensive coaching staff. He really is a coach on the field, and that's how most of the time centers are. So I think that, one, it's going to help calm down the team. You're going to be like, hey, we got our leader back on the field. You're not going to be relying on other guys to make too many calls and, mess it up. I think that's the other crazy thing is David Andrews takes so much control of the offense, both pre-snap and post-snap, that it's almost overwhelming, not only for a guy that hasn't played a lot in James Ferentz, but for the whole offensive line. They're like, holy crap, our leader that we're used to telling us, we're blocking back to this mic, or we're switching the protection to this along with our quarterback. It's a whole continuity thing. So I think him being back on the field, obviously because of his play, is going to be tremendously helpful. But I almost look forward to his leadership and just the type of player and type of coach, he is on the field, and how well he knows this offense in the game.
Yeah, I agree. He's a much bigger part of this offense than people realize. Just centers have a lot of responsibility, especially with a young quarterback, and especially with David Andrews being the veteran he is. So I think it's going to be a much bigger boost than people realize having him back here. There's a few questions here. I just want to touch on this one really quick because this kind of relates to what we're talking about. Luke says, do you think we'd be contenders if we had Brady right now? I think a lot of the struggles you've seen with Brady early on in the season is the same reasons that we're struggling. Bad offensive line. His offensive line's bad for different reasons. They have a lot of injuries and they were beat up pretty early. The difference is he has Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, a couple other guys who are talented, but just Chris Godwin and Mike Evans is both two receivers that are better than any of the receivers we have.
Yep.
So he has better weapons and a bad offensive line, and he's struggling. So if he came here with a probably worse offensive line and definitely worse weapons outside of maybe tight ends, I think he'd get more production from our tight ends.
Yeah.
I don't think would be contenders. I think would be more realistically AFC East contenders or playoff contenders in general. But this is going to tell us a lot about this football team is this week in general to start. But after that, we play the Vikings, who are 8-1 or something like that, and just beat the Bills. Then we play the Bills. Then we play the Cardinals on the road, Raiders on the road, who the Raiders are bad, but McDaniels, that's going to be a tough game. Bengals, Dolphins, Bills.
Yeah.
That is a really tough stretch. And we talked about this before the season, but this is where we're going to figure out where the Patriots are going to be at the end of the year. If they're going to make it in the playoffs, they're going to have to beat a lot of really good football teams.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, if they can't beat these football teams, they probably don't deserve to be in the playoffs, and we'll see where we go from there. But if you want to make it to the playoffs, they're going to have to earn it this year because they threw some games away early. They could have beat the Packers. They lost in overtime. I know Mac was out. That's a different story a little bit. They kind of blew it to the Ravens. And then you talk about that Bears game where they just were horrendous. They've had their opportunities to give themselves a little bit of a cushion to where the Jets right now, if they win this week, they're the AFC East leaders right now, which is absurd. That is crazy to think. So Patriots need to start off by winning this week. Hopefully build some confidence as an offense to where they can move forward and believe in themselves going into this tough stretch against the Vikings, Bills, and all those teams. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm super excited. I hope they're up for the challenge, and we're going to find out a lot about this football team, like I said.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to some of the other offensive positions that we're talking about. Some news today coming out. Speaking of injuries, any thoughts on Montgomery's surgery and outlook for next year? Obviously, if you guys haven't heard, and I did not know this until probably an hour or two ago when I got on my phone just because I was so busy at football today, but the Ty Montgomery is going to have season-ending shoulder surgery. Such a bummer because with how he played in camp, and then he had one of our few touchdowns and few good offensive plays against Miami. Then he goes on IR. That's a big loss. And what I'm more worried about, obviously Ty Montgomery would have been huge filling in for that James White role. What I'm more worried about is Ramondre Stevenson's health and what this looks like for him, because this just puts more responsibility on him. And not that that's a bad thing, but I almost got too worried that they were overusing Ramondre in a position where he's not used to it yet. They were giving him so much responsibility on first downs, throwing the ball to him, which is great because he is more than capable of being a true 3-down back, but he's still young in his career. And you still got to spell guys. Look at what happened to Najee Harris last year. Like, that's not healthy. He was a rookie last year and had all these carries, and everyone's like, oh, that's fine, he's still young. No,
and
that's what
happened
gets
this year.
Exactly. Look at him now. Jalen Warren's almost taking over. He can't stay healthy. He's consistently battling injuries, and that's what's going to chase these running backs, and that's what has chased these running backs out of the league after 4 or 5 years. So this really scares me more for what Ramondre looks like at the end of the year and what his production level is going to be, because they're going to be using him a lot more unless they get Pierre Strong, Kevin Ware, or Damon Harris just becomes a great pass catching back.
Yeah, that's kind of the most I couldn't agree with you more. The thing I'm worried about most is Ramondre's health. As far as production on the field, I think Ramondre is probably better than Montgomery. I think Montgomery is at this point in the season, Montgomery's a great passing down back, and I think he definitely would add to this offense, and maybe he would add a little more in the passing game. I think we're definitely missing James White. I think the past 2 years, Mac has not had that guy that this offense has utilized so often. And I think Ramondre is the closest thing we've had to that. And I think Montgomery would have been a great asset to this football team. But we kind of knew at the beginning of the season when he had that injury, we didn't hear much from the Patriots, but a lot of reporters and a lot of people speculated that it was going to be a really long-term, if not season-ending thing. And I guess now we officially got confirmation this morning, I saw. So it's unfortunate. It stinks. It is what it is. I kind of expected he was going to be done for the year. Ramondre, I hope they don't put too much on his plate and run him into the ground, because he's our entire offense right now with JAKOBI Meyers, and that's not really what you want to see.
Yeah, and I love Damien Harris, and maybe that's the answer, is you give him some more first down carries, which then again, I don't know what Bill's outlook is because he is in a contract year, and I don't know if they see him as the future. I don't know if they see them re-signing him. Maybe his value's gone down, so he'll be within New England's price range and they'll keep him to stay, but this has been Ramondre Stevenson's backfield ever since Damien Harris got hurt. And even when he came back, this has been Ramondre Stevenson first, and Damien Harris comes in as an afterthought. And that's good, but I think that there needs to be a little bit more spelling being done so that Ramondre can last the whole 17 games and he's healthy and he's, continuing up this production, because like you mentioned, without Ramondre Stevenson on this offense is looking really, really, really putrid, and it's already looking pretty bad so far. So that's the big, storyline for me, is how do they get another back going? Is Pierre Strong going to start working in? Is Kevin Harris going to start working in? Who do they start working in to, spell these Ramondre Stevenson?
That's going to be interesting to see. I just don't want to see him get hurt. Like, you would think you would do that with like Damien Harris, like you kind of mentioned, with contract. That's kind of when you do that with a running back, but not a young guy who's in the second year out of the draft, and he looks like he's a great talent. So, outside of that, kind of talking about the injuries as well, sticking with the offense, Devontae Parker was also back at practice. He was limited today with a knee injury. He's supposed to be good to go as far as before the bye. I think it was Ian Rappaport reported that he's expected to be back after the bye week. So that'll be good. Get a little boost to the offense, have Devontae back, have David Andrews back. I hope this offense clicks this weekend against a really good Jets defense. I think that would give them so much momentum heading into on the road for Thanksgiving against primetime Kirk Cousins at 8:20. So that'll be great. That'll be fun to watch. That offense is ridiculous for Minnesota, and that defense has certainly stepped it up as well. So getting a couple guys back on offense, that's going to be huge, and hopefully we see the results.
Yeah, especially at home too. You don't want to drop a division game at home. You already did what was hard is you beat New York in New York, and now you come home and you don't want to drop another one, or you don't want to drop another one in the division that you already have with Miami, and then you got Buffalo coming up, which I think Buffalo's looking more and more beatable with the Josh Allen injury, of course, and then a couple of the other things, but they're still a great team. But you want to win these division games at home, so you don't have to go steal one on the road. That's always harder. So New England being at home, coming off the bye, they don't have to deal with travel. They should be super well rested. They didn't have to worry about any of that travel stuff. They don't have to leave early. They get to sleep in their own beds for 2 weeks straight. They should be able to, take full advantage of this game and hopefully get a big victory and move to what would it be 6-4. And, now you're right in the thick of the AFC East race for coming up against Buffalo and some of the other good teams in the NFL. So, yep.
Yeah, it's definitely a big week. Definitely a big week against a division opponent. So hopefully the dominance over the Jets continues.
Yes.
Let's see. Do you want to touch on Taekwon? Just
his
performance so far?
Yeah, I was just gonna let's see. I have it right here. So he's played in 211 snaps this year, which obviously he was injured. So he had
3 games.
3
games now.
Why can't
maybe
I find
4? If it's 211,
I should have it.
4.
It's been 5.
5, really?
Detroit, okay. Cleveland, Chicago, the Jets, and then so Indianapolis.
He was back in Detroit. That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
So I loved how they used Tyquan Thornton when he first got back. You saw them giving jet sweeps to him, that you saw him giving pitch and catches to him. We still yet to see a massive explosive play out of Tyquan Thornton, which I think we all want to see. And I think time will come. We just haven't seen many explosive plays from this offense in general. So maybe he's the key to unlocking it, but he hasn't played more than 40 snaps all year in a game. And his best game receiving wise was against Cleveland, where he had the 4 catches, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Then he also had the rushing touchdown. So he's getting integrated more and more in the offense. I'd like to see New England continue to find creative ways to get him and everyone the ball. That goes for Jonnu Smith. That goes for Kendrick Bourne. That goes for JAKOBI Meyers, Ramondre. I think this offense needs more change of pace stuff. That's just get the ball to Mac Jones's hands, especially when the defense is struggling or when the offensive line is struggling, and just let your playmakers go out and make plays. And I think Tyquan Thornton can definitely do that. He's elusive. He's shifty. And when he gets in open space, there's not many dudes in the NFL that are going to catch him. So you just give him the ball in his in space and let him do, make plays and do what he does. I think that that's going to help this whole offense and him as a whole. But if I were grading him right now, throwing a midseason grade on him, I'd put him at about a C+. And I don't think that's a bad C+, but only playing in 5 games because of the injury. And he hasn't came in and done anything to elevate this offense yet. He's had good, solid games. He's done way more than N'Keal Harry ever did, which I know Patriots fans will agree with, but he hasn't came in yet and made that big time splash that we all hoped and wanted to. I don't know if it was realistic, but we want him to. So I'm just giving him a C grade. I think he has a ton more left in him. And, these last 7 games are going to be huge. Hopefully he can have those breakout games and, have a couple deep bombs down the field. Mac Jones can connect with him. So I'm excited to see what he can do now that he's, 5 games in, a bye week, more integrated in the offense, more time with Mac Jones, all that stuff.
Yeah, with how putrid this offense has been, I have a hard time blaming him for much, because the only people who the ball has been going to is JAKOBI and Ramondre. And we just don't have enough time to throw to some field stretchers right now, it feels like. So could he do a better job? Yes, obviously. But this offense has been horrendous. It's been one of the worst in the NFL. I have a hard time really judging him off a 5-game sample when he was hurt. I think he's got talent. I just think we got to see this offense improve. The O-line give Mac more time and make him more comfortable to where he has time to make those throws and really go through these full reads. So KB also, Matt Patricia's kept KB out of games. KB had a couple opportunities to fill in when Devontae was out and they had some injuries, and he didn't do great. So that wasn't great. I was really rooting for him to earn more snaps in this offense and show them why he should be a bigger part of the team and the bigger part of this offensive scheme. And he hasn't really done it yet. So hopefully he gets more opportunities and makes the most out of him, because I still love KB. I think he's a talented player and he added a lot to our offense last year.
Yeah, he's only played in 210 snaps over his, and he's
Entire
been,
season.
Yeah, the whole season. And, that should tell you what, either the coaching staff thinks of him. I still think it's unfair because he was one of our most productive dudes. He was our leading receiver last year. Maybe you could say Hunter Henry had more production than him, but both of those guys that were huge contributors last year are non-existent this year. And that's been another key to how bad this offense has been. Is you took a pretty average, at sometimes maybe decent offense last year, and you took their two biggest weapons and you've almost given them no production at all. And it's you don't have a playmaker on the other side of the field that's just taking all the production from them. You don't have many playmakers at all that are top tier NFL talent. You have good solid ones, but that's not going to win you games.
Yeah, I agree. Let's touch on this. Has Wynn taken Brown's spot at left tackle? We don't know. I would be surprised, but he was at left tackle at practice today. Maybe as a backup. Maybe they're just switching things up. Maybe they're giving Trent a rest. I'd be surprised, but also Trent Brown hasn't been the best either. Neither has Isaiah Wynn, but neither has Trent. So we will find out on Sunday. Come back after the post game, or come back for the post game show Sunday night after the game, and we will have a definite answer for you after the game, obviously. So we're not sure. We will find out though, and I'm sure we'll get more clarity on that tomorrow at practice as well.
Yeah, they moved him around to guard too.
Guard.
Yeah, left guard. Obviously when Cole Strange got benched 2 weeks ago when they were playing Indianapolis. So he's played right tackle. He's played left guard this year. I don't think that moving him back to left tackle where he struggled the first 4 years of his career is all of a sudden going to make him snap out of something. I don't know. So I would personally say don't move him to left tackle, because as bad as Trent Brown's been, you can't take him off the field when he's healthy. And then are you going to move him? Are you going to flip-flop him positions? And now they're playing two positions that, yeah, they have experience at, but they haven't played at all this year. And maybe they have limited practice snaps in. So I'm all for keeping the offensive line how it was. If you have to take Isaiah Wynn out of right tackle and put Justin Herron or someone there, go ahead and do it. I'm all for that. I was the biggest. I think Isaiah Wynn's more of a guard body coming out of college. Maybe that's what he needs. At this point, you put your best five, whoever's playing the best, and you give Mac Jones some time. You give this offense some time to push the ball down the field, run the plays they want, get the run game going. And I really don't care what five offensive linemen that is in the game at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. You got anything else you want to touch on specifically on this stuff before we hop into we'll do the ad read and hop into the over-unders?
I was gonna mention there was one more stat that I had pulled up, and now I can't think of it. So no, I guess we're good. It wasn't important enough to remember it. So
all right, you want to do the ad?
Yes, let's do it. So, guys, if you guys haven't heard, we are now sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is brought to you, or you can download Underdog Fantasy at the App Store, Google Play, or go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Underdog Fantasy is pick'ems, over-unders, daily fantasy, anytimes. You can up to 20 times your money in a single night if you hit on all 5 of your picks. You can see on the screen right here what it's doing. Depending on how many picks you have. And then they also have pick insurance. So if you make a bet with 5 picks and you only hit on 4 of them, but you use their pick insurance, you can still win a fifth of that money, which is also interesting enough to do. But if you guys use our code, which is Patriots Drive, we'll pop it up right here since we're getting into the over-unders. If you do code Patriots Drive at checkout, you're going to get your first $100 match. So if you deposit $20, you get a free $20. If you put $100 in, you're gonna get a free $100, and just use code Patriots Drive at that, and that will be very helpful. So we'd appreciate that. But thanks to Underdog for doing that, and that's going to put us into our next category, which is over/under picks for this week. And we'll start off with Mac Jones right here. Mac Jones is going to be over or under 196.5 passing yards.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna try to have confidence that this offense is going to bounce back. It's tough because Ramondre had 72 receiving yards last week, so I have a hard time believing this is going to happen again. Somebody else is going to have to step up. We'll see who it is. but I want to have confidence that this team is going to be better off the bye week, have a good game plan coming into a tough divisional matchup at home. I'm going to go with the over.
Yeah, I want to be optimistic with you and say the over. He had 194 passing yards last time we played the Jets. Ahmad Sauce Gardner is everything he's lived up to, and he might already be a top 10 cornerback in the NFL. So he's going to be able to take away whoever New England or whoever the Jets think that they need to take away, if they feel like they need to take away anyone. And that doesn't give me much confidence. I'm going to go with the under here. I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to pull up his game splits. He's only thrown for over that. Where's his? Let's see. Why can't I find it? Okay, here we go.
All right, how about this? Bailey's
194 against
under
the Jets.
196.5.
Under. He's going over. I'd say under for half a yard.
All right.
So he threw for 147 against the Colts, 194 against the Jets, and then 13 against the Bears. Obviously got benched there. Those are the 2 games he's been back. Before then, he threw for 321 against Baltimore. Obviously his best game of the year, even though he didn't have touchdowns, struggled with in the interception department, but 252 yards. So I'm going to flip it. I agree with you. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to go with the over. You convinced me. Give me the Mac Jones over on this. I don't know if I love it, but I'll go with the over.
I don't love it either, but I'm trying to be optimistic.
I'll try to be optimistic with you too. I looked at his stats of before he got hurt, and I'm thinking you gave him a week off of that ankle, and now this will be his 3rd game back, technically 4th. Give me the over. I'll agree with you on that one. You convinced me. All right.
There we go. Moving on to Zach Wilson, over under 178.5. What do you got?
Yeah. So last time we had the Jets 355. And so that's the thing is Zach Wilson can throw for a lot of yards, even though he's gonna throw it. And that's one thing I will give props to him is as bad as he's played against the Patriots, he is not afraid to come out and sling it the next time that he plays them. So
he's definitely not afraid to sling it. 3 picks.
Well, yeah, a lot more than that in the last 3 games we've played him. So I'm gonna go with the over here. They have a lot of good receivers too. Someone mentioned it above that they think, or they mentioned Corey Davis might be back. Garrett Wilson's, another 1st round pick that they just hit out of the ballpark, probably, killing it. And then they have Elijah Moore who can do good things. Michael Carter does good things out of the backfield. So I'm going to go with the over here, but our pass defense, I hope that they continue to get to him. And if he throws for 355 yards again and 3 picks, go ahead. I don't care how many yards you get on the Patriots, but just keep throwing the picks to us.
This seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, I didn't think that. I thought 355 was crazy. I didn't think he threw that much, but this feels like a no-brainer based off last performance and just kind of Zach Wilson likes to sling it. And if you think the Patriots may have a lead at some point, then I would think he's going to be throwing the football. So I like the over on this as well.
Yeah, I hope that he goes under, but this is a really, really low line. I was actually surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets adjusted by the time that we the Patriots actually play.
I like this comment here. Marilyn says, I think Matty P took the bye week to watch all the pods that are telling him run more RPO, which would give him more air yards. Haha. Hope we can hope, can't we? Yes, we absolutely can. Hopefully Matty P was in the lab with anybody who has an offensive mind and can show him how to run an offense, and maybe we can get some RPOs that Mac had a lot of success with at Alabama. So we'll see. I hope the offense looks a little different. Belichick got a question about if this is the time to really change your offense, and he said there's no rule against it, I think is something like what he said. So maybe we'll see some new things.
The other thing about RPOs, and I'm a fan of RPOs, I think that they need to be in an offense at some point. You need to have that option and the ability to throw a quick pass when you have, too many numbers in the box or something. But the RPO is really, really, really effective when you have receivers that can make yards after the catch. And I don't know if New England has many that can do that.
Hill.
Those 2 guys make the RPO go. They can win it one-on-one consistently. They are tough to tackle. The first guy almost never tackles them, and they can outrun anyone. So the RPO works super effectively and super well when teams are scared to leave those receivers one-on-one with their corner. So that means that they have to move a guy out of the box, and now you have the run. You have less hats in the box. You have more favorable boxes to run to run the runs now. And then if they do move them in, you throw the passes, and they make a miss, and they go for 50 yards. That's why I am still hesitant to think that New England probably says, "Hey, we can't really run the RPO," is because, I mean, as good as JAKOBI Meyers is he going to be a great yard after the catch guy? I don't know. Devontae Parker, not really known for that. So yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with you in that sense. Moving on, Ramondre over under 95.5 total yards. Last time he had 143.
Yeah, I think that this is the one guy that the Jets are going to key on, and Robert Saleh knows that he is a huge part of the offense. And if they can knock out the run and make New England pass, they're going to feel very confident in this game. So I'm going to go with the under on this one. I hope he goes over, but I just don't see the Jets and Robert Saleh letting him go for over 100 yards, just like he really did. He really was a huge, maybe one of the only parts of the offense last time we played him. And I don't think that the Jets are going to have the mentality. They're going to say, you're going to have someone else beat us.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I think it's going to be the same. As you said, I think how much of the offense he was, kind of like you just mentioned, there's no way they're going to let him do that again. And maybe Mondre is just good enough to where he will do it again. But I think he's going to have a really good performance because they're going to be focused on him a lot. But moving on to Garrett Wilson, the Jets' #1 stud rookie wide receiver, over under 44.5. He had 115 last time.
He did. He's averaging 59 yards per game. I think this is another very favorable line because, yeah, Corey Davis might come back. This will be his first game back in a while. I'm going to go over here just because I really do think that he is a special young receiver in the league. And you look at the draft class, I think that Chris Olave is going to be special. Drake London has some specialness to him, but I think Garrett Wilson's the cream of the crop. Him and Chris Olave, the two Ohio State guys, are up there. And it's scary that we have to deal with him in this league consistently. And the thing is, yeah, I love Jonathan Jones. I think Jonathan Jones is a very, very good corner, and he's transitioned a lot better to outside than I thought. But Garrett Wilson has size on him. He has reach on him. You can't consistently win one-on-one with Garrett Wilson and John Jones. Now, he's going to be able to limit him, but I don't think it's going to be to under 45 yards. So I'm going to go with the over here.
I am as well. I like this line a lot as well, as far as betting on underdog. So I'm going to go with the over. Last one we got here, JAKOBI Meyers over under 51.5. Last game he had 60. So I feel like this is a pretty fair line. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't see Ahmad Gardner lining up against him much. I really don't. I think with how New England uses JAKOBI, I don't see them wanting to move Sauce all around the field just to follow JAKOBI Meyers. So
in that cover three, like in that system that the Jets are running, don't they mostly keep the corner on the same side of the field for most of the game? As far as matchup wise, you can kind of plan to avoid him because he's mostly going to be in the same area. I believe that's how that system has been run in the past, as far as him transitioning here with the Jets. Robert Saleh, I think you're going to be able to avoid him. And like you said, not being on JAKOBI. If you want him on JAKOBI, you could put JAKOBI over there. But I think JAKOBI being in the slot for the most part, you can kind of get him away from Sauce. I'm not sure if they've done a little bit more of moving him around this year. I don't know if they've put him on #1 guys like Stephon Diggs or anything like that, if he has him follow. But I believe for the most part, if there's no #1 that they want to man up on or anything, I think for the most part, he stays on one side of the field.
Yeah, and he only guarded JAKOBI Meyers. Sauce Gardner only guarded JAKOBI on 2 targets last time. He had 1 reception for -2 yards. And I'm pretty sure if I remember that right, it wasn't even in man coverage. It might have been in zone where it was like a bubble screen and Sauce shot through and made the tackle. So I agree with you. Yeah. Most of the time we run cover 3 where I coach at, and cover 1, cover 3, cover 1 go hand in hand. You can mix, you show 1 high safety, you can mix in coverages and zone pressures and stuff from those looks. So, and most of the time, unless they're, like you mentioned, there's just a true matchup that you're like, hey, we want you to just follow Mike Evans or someone. We want you to follow these guys. I don't think that they're going to do that with New England. So I'm gonna keep JAKOBI Meyers going over. He's been our huge offense right here, huge part of our offense, and we have Mac Jones going over 195 yards, even though we don't feel good about it. But I think JAKOBI has to have a huge day, at least over 51.5 if Mac Jones wants to throw for over 200 yards.
Yeah, if I had to bet on it, like the Mac Jones line, I might bet under. But I want to have confidence, so I'm going over. But yeah, I'm not going to put money on it. I'll say that. JAKOBI, I'm going to say over. I hope they spread the ball around, and I hope JAKOBI still has a good game, obviously. But I hope they spread the ball around and get some other receivers involved to where it's not all on JAKOBI and all on Ramondre. So that would be great to see. If he goes under this and we get 80 yards from Taekwon and 80 yards from Devontae Parker, I'll be like, okay, awesome. And then Jonnu gets involved and Hunter Henry, that'd be awesome. So that would be where I'd be okay with seeing him go under this. I think he's going to have over. I think it could be close like it was last time, but I like JAKOBI for the over.
And please inject it into my if Mac Jones is going to throw for 200 plus yards and it's because we had 2 80 plus yard receivers or 200 yard receivers like we saw early in the season, please, I would love to see that from this offense again. So that would be huge. So
that would be awesome.
Anything else before we wrap it up?
That's all I got. That's all I got for the preview for this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit weird not having Patriots football on last week, but it was also kind of relaxing just watching some of the other good football games because when you're just watching when you're just watching the Patriots game, I don't flip back and forth, so you see the scores, but you don't get to see all those games, and then
I just watch it from a fantasy perspective and a fan, and
exactly,
I do like it. Yeah,
so
not as much stress either.
It was good, and then obviously the Thanksgiving game next week will be fun as heck. So that'll be fun. So exciting time to be a Patriots fan coming off the bye. And you really couldn't ask for anything more. You could have hoped that you're sitting at 6-3 right now and you don't have that loss to the Bears, although the Bears are playing a lot better and a couple other games that slipped away from you. You could easily be a lot better than what your record shows. You could also be a lot worse than what your record shows. So I think New England's at a very fair spot. And, as cliche as it sounds, this season's what's left of it is for New England to go take. Like this is all in their hands. If they were going to trick it off like they did last year, it's going to be on them, and they can earn a playoff spot all by themselves, go in, beat some really good football teams and get in as a wild card, maybe even the AFC East division champs again. It will be fun into the year.
Hopefully it goes as well as we're hoping. It's definitely we're going to learn a lot, good or bad. We're going to learn a lot about this team over the next 2 months. So I'm excited. I hope they're up for the challenge. It's going to be a great stretch of football, and there's nothing more you could ask for. They're in the thick of it. They're at the bottom of the division, but they're right there. They're a game, 2 games behind. We're right there, and we got 4 division games ahead of us. We can go take this thing if they want to. So that's all we got for you tonight. We will be back after the game on Sunday, probably around 7-8 o'clock, kind of our normal time there. So expect us back then, and then Sunday night, we'll have more of a clear idea of when we'll be live as far as the Thanksgiving game goes and that stuff. Maybe we'll go Friday after the game or Thursday after the game, or maybe Friday that next day since it'll be Thanksgiving and stuff. But
we're going to come on here with massive turkey legs and just chomp on them after the Patriots give the Vikings their second loss of the year.
Yeah, if there's any turkey legs left, we will be chomping on.
Yeah, you're right. We might be so fat and not want to get off the couch. We won't even make it to our setups to do a live. So
Jason and I, by the end of the night, will be filling up the entire camera screen here. So don't be offended by it. We're not zooming in. It's just that's how it is after Thanksgiving. So
yeah,
don't be scared.
We'll have triple chins.
Yeah, we'll all be like, ugh.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, we will see you guys Sunday night after the game. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, do those things. We really appreciate it. Helps the channel out. So until then, we will talk to you guys later.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.